Hello, Live It patrons. This is Christy Stevens, and
I'm Jess. Good to see you.
so we're here. This is part one of the fundraising workshop. So we recognize that along with all the documents you're getting and the support you're getting from your captain and coach, it'd be good to hear from us about fundraising. And this part one is why it's important to us as an organization, as Jeans for Justice. So the first part I want to just speak to is talking about why fundraising. Why is this a component of our program? And I want to ask you, Jess. Jess, you founded this organization 4 years ago. Why did you put fundraising as a part of some of the programs?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And it's come up so many times because usually our programs have two components. They usually have some kind of a challenge or a really fun component like running, yoga, spoken word, all the things that you guys are doing. And then the other side is fundraising. And people, half the time they're more scared of the spoken word or more scared of the running, and half the time they're more scared of the fundraising. And so I think like any challenge, fundraising is really important because it's an opportunity for us to do something we've never done before. It is an opportunity that shows us some things that we're scared of, like asking for what we want, asking for money from people. It's an opportunity that really evokes parts of us that running or yoga or spoken word, they don't bring out. It's a whole different dynamic, and I found that fundraising and people learning to fundraise and getting trained to fundraise for something they believe in actually cultivates a new part of their gifts and their strengths as a human being as they go through life. So I personally have thought about getting rid of the fundraising component a lot of times, and every time I ask myself that question, I say, no, we've got to keep it in there. It's huge, and it also creates a common bond because everyone on the team is fundraising and going through the same challenges and having the same victories, and it's a really, really cool way to unite the team that everybody's in this together, doing this together.
This is very, very true. And taken from my experience, I've done our half marathon training program where fundraising is a component for years. And there's nothing like that team unity when you have no idea what you're doing and trying to go for these big goals. So I first want to talk about one of the questions that we get asked the most, and rightly so, is where do the funds go? So we're fundraising. Where do the funds go? And one of the documents that you'll receive is a nice little pie chart that Jess Johnson made. It was awesome. About the breakdown of where all the funds go, what they go to. But basically, the funds go to not only keeping the doors open at Jeans for Justice, but 86 cents out of every dollar goes towards the programs that we deliver in high schools, in colleges, and the community at large, like the one you're in right now. So really, when we talk about fundraising, I really want to make sure everyone knows that majority of everything that you're raising goes right back into the community. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we're about. That's for the creation of our programs and the delivery. So.
And one thing I wanted to add to that is that Jeans for Justice is now, we're embarking on our 4th year of delivering content and programs and doing social change work in the community. And we are actually stepping into a place where we're starting to get more interest from corporate sponsors and grantors. So we're getting to a place where literally we're looking to have all of our operational budget supported by these major gifts so that everything that you guys raise through your peer-to-peer fundraising is literally, you can see dollar for dollar where that's going. So like Christy said, 86% going into programming and our mission is a huge percent, especially for such a small organization. We're really proud of that, and a more tangible piece for you guys also is just to know that depending on the size and the breadth and the in-depthness of our program, the average program for us costs us about $5,000 to $10,000 to implement. So that's just something for you guys to know, especially as we break into new markets. It starts to become a little bit more costly for us to implement programs, but the average number that we use is $5,000 for us to do a 6-month program where we have trained facilitators going in and meeting regularly with students. And so that's just a little nugget for you guys to kind of help give you a framework for each challenge. If each challenge is their goal is to raise $5,000, that direct goal can help us put one new program in a brand new school and train new facilitators to go into that school as well.
Which is why each challenge, the minimum fundraising goal for each group is $5,000. So
there is a rhyme and reason.
So the next piece I want to talk about is fundraising as a conduit for change. So, you know, a lot of you are probably in here because you are stepping into being the change you want to see in this world, right? Right? You want to see some change. And so the act of fundraising immediately moves into a place where you're actively making change in this world by maybe stepping a little outside your comfort zone of asking for help, asking other people to support you in something that you're doing. But also what it has you do is it has you step up and speak about healthy relationships in order so that sexual violence no longer exists. So you're taking a stand for something that has been affecting and impacting so many people in this world. And so what I want to also let you guys know too is fundraising is not only like helping us as an organization thrive, but it also is about bringing in more people to the conversation and opening up doors so that you're a safe place for survivors of sexual assault, sexual abuse to share their stories. Did you want to add anything to that piece?
Yeah, just the one thing that I wanted to add is almost a personal story. When I was 22, I decided I wanted to raise money for Susan G. Komen and do the breast cancer walk, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of or done. And at the time, I was 22 years old. I just moved to San Diego. I had not a lot of contacts out here. And my family does not come from money, so I was like, I needed to raise $2,500. And I was like, how am I going to possibly do this? So I decided to do a bartending event, and I guest bartended and donated all my tips. And I never wound up asking any of my family for money. I was scared, and I knew that they didn't have a lot to donate, and I didn't want to put them in a position where they would feel bad. I have since overcome that fear, by the way, just so you know. But I did this event, and we wound up raising $5,200 in tips that day. And what happened is that us putting it out there to the community, my friend and I, that we believed in this, that we wanted to do this, so many people from the community stepped forward and started supporting. At that very event, I was literally on the bar asking people, should we keep going? Should we keep going? We'd hit our goal, and we blew through the goal. And one man came up to me. He wrote me a $1,000 check with tears in his eyes, and he said, my mom died of breast cancer. Thank you so much for doing what you do. And he gave us $1,000 right there on the spot. So fundraising really does, like Christy was saying, it's a catalyst to bring the community together. It's a way for people to contribute and serve in all different ways. And it is a strong stand that you're taking for a cause that you believe in, that really does free people to believe and feel like other people are doing work on their behalf and on behalf of one another. So it's incredibly powerful, it's incredibly unifying, incredibly bonding, and it's a huge act of service.
That's a good story. Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah.
Jess.
Yeah.
So the last part that I want to talk to you about is actually very similar to what Jess was just saying. When you start fundraising, you're bringing together an entire community. And typically when people fundraise, we see donors come in for 3 different reasons. There is going to be someone who donates to your page, to your fundraising, because this cause, like Jess's story, this cause means something to them. You also will get people who donate because they want to be in contribution, they want to be of service, they want to be a part of something larger than themselves. And then lastly, you're going to get people who donate to you because they care about you and they want to serve and contribute to what you're doing, something that means something to you. And actually, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I would say that largely the donations that we get as individuals come from that last group of people who just want to contribute to what someone that they care or love or used to love or used to be a part of their life, what they're doing and what they're up to.
And I totally agree with Christy. And one thing that we see time and time again is that, typically people, when they start their fundraising journey, they think, oh, we talk about who's in your network, and so they'll be like, oh, well, I've got my family, and I've got my best friends, and maybe my softball team or something like that. And then as you start going through, you start expanding your network and realizing, what about your high school friends? What about your college roommates? All this stuff. And usually what happens is that the people that we least expect it are some of our most generous supporters. And it's so moving and so powerful when you see somebody you haven't talked to since 8th grade, and they come forward and they give you a donation for this effort, for this challenge, for yourself, putting yourself out there, for this cause. And not only to support you, but also sometimes they'll also share their own story. Like I was telling you with the man at the bar event, they'll share, thank you so much for doing this. Like, they're there to support you, and there's also a feeling of freedom and healing that happens for them. So I definitely agree with Christy, and yes, the bulk of the people will first start their donation because they support you, and that's when we get to have the opportunity to build a relationship with them, to just thank them. We will send them a letter personally, and also invite them into the work at a deeper level. So sometimes what you're doing is actually creating an opening, knowing that 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 women have been affected by sexual or relationship violence, and 1 in 6 men. That's a lot of people in your community. So what you're actually doing also is you're opening a door for people in your community that may have their own story, that have never gotten support, but they hear that you're doing this, they make a donation, and then it cracks open a door for them to step into a deeper layer of support or a bigger sense of community that understands what they've been through and is working to make a difference. So it's actually a huge opportunity, and you're not forcing anyone to do anything. It's one huge psychological shift that we work with all of our fundraisers, is that you asking people to make a donation isn't forcing them to do anything that they don't want to do. You're giving them an opportunity to do something that they do want to do. And if they don't, they won't. You're not forcing anything. So I really invite you to let go of that if that's something that comes up for you, because it really does come up for a lot of people, and to really shift your mindset into looking at this as an opportunity that you're inviting someone into.
Thanks, Jess. Mm-hmm. So, having said that, the most important thing that you can do when you're getting going on your fundraising is to get clear on your why. Why are you a part of this? Why does this matter to you? Because that's, we have templates of, letters you can send out to friends and family, but really, like we were saying, most people are donating because they want to know, they're donating because this means something to you. So what we're going to do in our next video is we're going to help support you in getting clear on why you decided to step in at this level and support not only our cause, but support a team and take on this challenge. So we're going to get you clear on your why in the next video. So stick around. Bye.
Bye.